So this is exciting. This is really, really exciting. Today we got the announcement that Negan is returning to The Walking Dead. They're actually going to be doing a spin-off, or I guess it's like a one-shot, where we learn what happened to Negan after issue 174. So, of course, before we go any further and explain all of this, because this is just really huge news, a lot of us were wondering what happened to that character and expected something like this to be announced at some point in the future. But now that it's been about a year since the last issue of The Walking Dead, which was issue 193, we're getting the first of any material in the Walking Dead universe. We did get a book, which I do want to review. It's just with me with books, it takes me a really long time to read. So I could just sit down and read it, but I'm really not going to make any promises with that because I love reading. I really do love reading, but it really is something I think you have to put effort into if you want to do it. I'm one of those people, which I'm sure maybe it's one of you guys too, who wants to read, but every time you start, you get like 100 pages in. Maybe, and then you just, Anyways, that's why I love comic books, because it's so simple to read. You read like 20 to 25 pages, and it's not like full-on pages of text. It's just dialogue, and you're looking at artwork and stuff like that. So if you are interested and you want updates like this, make sure to go follow me on Instagram. It's just at MusicMan on Terrace Street. The link for that should be down below. And I do think I'm probably going to be playing Last of Us Part 2, because I asked the question on here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm getting an overwhelming response to it. People really want me to play it, and there's like I would say, I don't even know how many people are saying to play it, but there's there's a handful of people who don't want me to, which was like the complete opposite as to what I was expecting. I thought it would be like, a couple of people saying, yes, play it, and then, overwhelmingly no, because of the controversies out there right now. But I mean, hey, I'm willing to give it a chance. I've heard some things in terms of spoilers. Nothing recent, like I said, like just whenever that first wave of spoilers came out a month or two ago, and maybe I'll be disappointed by it, but maybe they'll do it right. I don't know. I think I'm gonna pick it up. I know it comes out tonight at midnight. I like to get the physical discs for games, so I'll probably have to go and get it at some point tonight if I can, if they do release it at midnight, or I'll just wait to go in the morning and then I can play a little bit in the morning. And I don't think I want to stream it, but I guess I'll leave that for you guys to answer. Do you want me to stream it live, or do you want me to, I guess, just record gameplay and then edit all the footage and put it together, like put the entire game, which is like 25 to 30 hours, and just condense it into like an hour, maybe even 2 hours? Just let me know down below and I'll make a decision based off that. But Negan lives. It's confirmed today. I don't know where I saw this, but I saw The Walking Dead put tomorrow or something. They posted this tweet. It was like tomorrow. So they were going to make some kind of announcement tomorrow. But I read that this morning, so I kept thinking, okay, there's going to be an announcement tomorrow, like Friday, which had me so hyped because I was thinking the show. I was honestly thinking the show. I don't think anyone was thinking the comic. And I was going to do a video on that today, talking about what could the announcement be. But I guess they did that post yesterday, because this is the announcement, I'm assuming. And this is a very welcome announcement. It isn't just something that they hyped up a lot and it was just nothing. I'm really not disappointed with this. I do wish it was like show stuff for sure. But this was also a big part of the comic that I wanted to know more about this, and I'm so happy that we're going to learn more about this character, because he had such an interesting arc. And I guess his arc kind of came to an end at the end of issue 174. There was a moment in there. I won't spoil anything that does happen in that arc or in that issue, but it's a very amazing issue. A lot of it we already seen on the show, stuff to do with Maggie and all that in season 9. There's also a lot of additional things too, and that was really the end of it. And I think this is why this issue right here is very important. It's because whatever happens in this issue, again, it's a one-shot, so I think it's just going to be this one issue, but this is going to explain what happens to Negan after issue 174. And I think it's going to be 36 pages, they were saying, so it's going to be pretty long, and there might be multiple time jumps. We might see a lot of stuff that he does do over a certain period of time. This might pick up like 5 years later, 10 years later. At the very end, we might see Negan really old, like actually really old. He's still alive. We might hear about his response to Rick's death, because we never got his response to that, his reaction to any of that. So we might actually see all of this in this issue. Whatever happens in this issue, this is what they're going to use on the show. Negan has basically ran out of material to use from the comic. There's little things like Beta versus Negan that happens during the Whisper War. There's a moment, I guess, later on that happens between Rick and Negan where they just get closer. There's things like that, things that happen with the Saviors. When Negan does get exiled from Alexandria, he's allowed out, but they just exile him, which, and then he just goes missing until issue 174. which is his last issue. There's little things like that, but they've kind of already used some of those aspects, and I don't really know what they're going to do next with that. Like, we know we're getting Beta versus Negan in the finale. Other than that, they're going in totally new territory. We're going to see a lot of things to do with Maggie, I'm sure, in season 11. And so that's kind of the thing with it all, is like they can actually adapt from here if they wanted to, and they can do a lot of stuff with Negan. They could use some of this material depending on what it is, and this will hint largely at what to expect, I guess, for season 11 or 12 or 13 or what have you. The release date, for those that are wondering, is July 1st, so that's really exciting. We have something to look forward to now, because it's been feeling like for a very long time that there's nothing to look forward to. So July 1st, I'm going to my comic book shop and I'm going to be getting it. You can also buy it digitally, so for those that can't actually make it to a comic book store or just don't want to go out right now, you can buy it digitally. So yeah, you can just read it on your phone. It might be available on Comixology, I believe it's what it's called. So I would check there, because that is usually where I go to buy comics online, but that's only if I desperately need to read it right now. I don't want to wait to go to the store and come back. Now, just to talk about the actual cover here. I mean, I love the font. It says Negan lives. And if you notice with the G here, the just inside is the shape of a bat. That's Lucille. That's super cool. And Negan in general here just looks really badass. He just looks super cool. Like, he kind of has that smug look to him, you know, that typical Negan phase. And like, what is this going to bring? What is going to happen in this issue? Like I said before, I have a couple predictions. Like, one, I do think he's gonna, like, we will see his reaction to Rick's death. I think that will happen. The second thing is something that was hinted at in issue 193, or not hinted at, but they did, which was Carl still kind of communicates with him here and there. And maybe not all the time, but maybe we see Carl bring some food to the door, and then there's a reason why Negan isn't answering the door. But also, what is the threat? Like, what is the conflict within this issue? I think that's the one question I have. Like, what is the conflict in this issue? Because if you're writing a story, obviously, and in some, there's going to be an element of conflict, right? And his last issue, he really resolved a lot of, I guess, the issues that were plaguing him from the moment we met him in issue 100. And he got over Lucille. He realized how stupid it was that he needed that bat. And I think it was because Maggie also forgave him, and certain things that happened, like with that I do think he really let everything go. And so now here, Negan lives. I mean, this is Negan by himself on his own, and I'm sure he's still living in that house, because if they fast forward 10 years, that obviously we see in that house there, that area is all kind of run by the Commonwealth. At least they're watching over the area. So Negan's going to know about them soon. It just really depends on the timeline and what they focus on here. Like, if you just look at the image, Negan looks young here, but I know just from experience, don't try to read what the story is going to be based off the cover, because it's never really related. Sometimes it is, but it could just be the cover. Like, I remember one issue with Alpha, they teased that Alpha was going to be a part of the Whisperer War and stuff, but she wasn't at all. She died way before it happened, so you can't really follow the issues all the time, because they are definitely misleading. Here, this really might not be that misleading, because it's just Negan, right? And literally the first couple of pages might actually feature Negan looking like this. He might be younger, before the end where he's old. And I really do hope we get that in this issue. I do hope we see older Negan, and I hope we get him at the very end of the story, because I also want a younger Negan too. If it is a one-shot and this is all we're getting with this, then I want to see what happens to him over the years. And I want to get this really epic story of his life, for like the last years of his life. Maybe at the end he dies, which I think would be kind of, well, the title says Negan lives, so maybe it ends with him dying. I don't know. I would be totally up for a new series focusing on that character, because Kirkman's talked about that for a while. Like, he really likes the Negan character. He wants to write more for him. Just start a new series on this character. Like, definitely do that. I think a lot of people would check it out. He's such an awesome character. And like, you do kind of run into some issues like, well, what do you do now? Because you're so far into the apocalypse that, and also with the final issue, we see what happens like 10, 15 years later into the apocalypse. Whatever you do with Negan, you know that eventually the Commonwealth and all this stuff, like, things will get better. There will be a point where people haven't seen walkers in like a couple years. So it is kind of hard to do stuff in that world. Like, you would be telling really cool stories like this, but you know it's going to get better at some point. I guess whether or not like this character does survive is kind of interesting, but you do also have a lot of room to grow within those 10 to 15, 20 years, however long the time jump was. You have a lot of room to grow, a lot more stories to tell as to, or just how they got to that point. Was Negan a part of it? Was Negan, after issue 174, ever in contact or had any contact with anyone from Alexandria, the Commonwealth, Hilltop, any of that? Or did he stay away? Did he ever talk to Carl again? I want to know all of these things, and I think it would be really cool if in the beginning of this issue we actually do see that. Carl as a little kid talks to Negan, maybe spends some time there and lives with him. Like, I think there's such cool things that you can do now that you don't have to really follow the main story of the Walking Dead comic. You can branch out into just different areas because you gave yourself so much room with that massive time jump, right? But I'm just excited. I really am. I can't believe this is actually happening. I'm going to be going there on July 1st to my comic book shop. I'm buying this. I will review this that day, so expect a review on this issue that day. And yeah, I can't believe we're actually at this point. But post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. What's your reaction to Negan living, to Negan Lives? Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.